Hey, welcome to another video, guys. So I'm guessing you guys want to know what basic training is like in 2021. Well, a lot has changed because of COVID. Traditionally, there's a red phase, white phase, and blue phase. Now there's a whole nother phase, there's yellow phase. So when you first get there, get out of the airport, there's going to be a drill sergeant there in the airport, and he's going to pick you guys up and take you to reception. Now, reception should be 3 to 5 days at most. During reception, reception is really the best time. You get to have your phone, you're hanging with your buddies, you still have your hair. You don't lose your hair until the last day, they just shave it all off. But you do very light PT, so you're not exercising that much. You get pretty decent food, and you get to have your phone, which is the best part. Reception isn't hard or anything, they just take your blood, they test you, and they get your pay right, get your CAC card, your military ID card, and just get you set up for basic soldier needs. And then towards the end of reception, you get your uniform and your PTs, which are these right here, your workout clothes pretty much. And then you go to the PX, which is like a Walmart for the Army, only on post. And you get to buy, well, they tell you exactly what to buy, which are like shoes, and they're these black shoes, no logos on them, kind of suck, but you don't get to wear your personal shoes. So you get those, Tide Pods, personal hygiene things, anything like that. Everybody has to buy the same exact thing. After that, you move on to yellow phase, which is pretty much a quarantine in the barracks, no phones. You don't really do much in yellow phase. It's like a light PT, so you're not really exercising as much as you would in the traditional red phase. And because of this, I recommend you go in there already fit, because you don't have as much time to get in shape. Traditionally, red phase is 3 weeks. Basic training is still 10 weeks. They have not extended it 2 weeks because of yellow phase. They just took out 2 weeks from red phase and made it yellow phase to have that 2 weeks of quarantine before you start training. So what I recommend is that you buy a good pair of running shoes right now and you get out there and start running and getting into shape. Because if you're not in shape when you go in there, it's going to be a lot harder nowadays. After your 2 weeks of quarantine and yellow phase, you start red phase and you jump immediately into it. Before, you spent red phase getting into shape, doing a lot of PT. It was just primarily working out. Red phase was pretty much just working out. From the time you woke up to the time you went to sleep, you would work out, you would learn the Army song, the Soldier's Creed, the Army values, a lot of those things. But now you have to come in there prepared. You spend a lot of time in yellow phase learning that stuff, but you don't get to work out as much. So that's why I recommend you go in there in pretty good shape. So before going to basic, I definitely recommend getting into shape. Being able to do those 6 events for the ACFT is critical. You don't have to be able to pass the leg tuck. When I went in, we still had to pass the ACFT, but now because of COVID, you don't have to pass the ACFT, but I still recommend you do it, because after this whole COVID thing is done, in 2022, you still have to pass the ACFT to stay in the Army. And the ACFT isn't too difficult. It's comprised of 6 events. There's the deadlift, the sprint drag carry, the ball throw, hand release push-ups, leg tuck, which is the hardest one for most soldiers. That's the highest failure rate, so I definitely recommend being able to do a leg tuck, and then 2-minute mile, which you have to do in under 21 minutes. Another piece of advice I can give you guys is to what to bring to basic training. So any sort of civilian shirt you bring, any sort of shoes, socks, underwear, especially underwear, they're all going to be taken away from you. Not taken away and thrown away, but taken away and put into your personal bag and put in a storage room, and you'll get it after basic training. What you're going to be given, you're going to buy at the PX, what I mentioned earlier at the end of reception. You're going to buy these plain black socks. They're Hanes. Not all that great, but everybody has to wear the same socks. You're going to be buying underwear. They're terrible. They're tighty whities, but they're green because it's the Army. So do not try to sneak in your own underwear. You will get caught, whether it's during PT or it's in formation. They will find that you're wearing personal underwear like Calvin Klein or whatever, and you will get smoked for it. Another key piece of advice is lock everything. there are lots of thieves at Basic, people who will steal your stuff, um, even down to my PT shorts. Somebody stole a pair of my PT shorts because I didn't lock the drawer that it was in. So when you buy the locks from the PX, and you're going to be forced to buy the locks, make sure you lock everything up because it will get stolen if you don't, even the smallest things. So what are some other changes because of COVID during Basic? So the most important thing, the most noticeable thing is no combatives, and that really sucked because I was really looking forward to the combatives aspect. I wanted to do the martial arts, I wanted to do the hand-to-hand combat where you get these big sticks and you just beat each other down with them. Let's say you had beef with somebody, all of Basic, you could call them out and then you would fight them. But because of COVID, there's no hand-to-hand martial arts, there's no more fighting, no more combatives, which really sucks. I was really looking forward to that. And it's not replaced by anything, it's just that part is cut out and it's just more PT, more exercise. Another thing that's cut out from Basic because of COVID are cadences. Now, cadences are really cool. They motivate you during your ruck march. Sort of any sort of march you do, you would sing a cadence, and it fills you with spirit, and it's super thrilling. But unfortunately, because of COVID, there's no more cadences. Even when you are spread out with that 6 feet, they still don't want you guys to sing cadences. My drill sergeants were very relaxed, so once we were out in the field and doing those field training exercises, for example, during the forge, we did get to sing a couple cadences, but that's just between you and me, and you didn't hear that from me. But missing out on cadences really sucks because it is a really fun part of it. During Blue Phase, we get to sing our own cadences and we get to march our own formations, but because of COVID, we can't sing cadences anymore. Another thing that is taken away because of COVID is the DFAC. That's the dining facility, and the dining facility is what soldiers look forward to at the end of the day. It's where you get the best food, the best breakfast, best dinner, and because of COVID, they don't want all those people in the dining facility because they want to slow the spread. So you go to the dining facility way less, and you have to eat MREs and hot A's, which is what me and my friends called hot ass, because it's terrible. They have powdered eggs and the food is disgusting. But there's not enough for everybody. There's usually, you get very little. So one piece of advice I have is when they're asking for volunteers to put back the hot A's, to take them back to the DFAC, always volunteer, because you could always snag a piece of bread or an apple, an orange, a banana, whatever you could get, a piece of chicken, whatever you could get your hands on that was left extra, that wasn't served out, you can grab that and munch on it while you're taking it back to the DFAC. Me and my friends always did this, and we always got some extra food. Another thing is sometimes you don't get enough food, and you're working really hard and you're doing all this physical exercise and you want to build your muscles, but you're not getting enough food, enough protein in your system. So people would steal the peanut butter packets from the dining facility, stuff them in their pockets. Just make sure you don't get caught. Those Nature Valley bars, the little protein bars, whatever that's packaged and you can take. I'm not saying to take them, but if you do, don't get caught, because they will do your locker inspection. They're supposed to do it 3 to 4 times, but because of COVID, they only did it once for us. And those can be great bargaining chips. If there's a shift of fire guard that you don't want to do, you can have somebody else do it in exchange of food. During basic training, the shoes you get, like I said, they're low quality, they're cheap, they are going to be wearing out, and a lot of them are going to get destroyed due to wear and tear. You have an option to use your own personal shoes after your army shoes, the ones you buy from the PX, get worn out. That's why I recommend bringing a nice pair of shoes, nice pair of running shoes. I brought an expensive pair, my Nike Air Pegasus 35s, and after my army shoes, the ones I was using for PT, got worn out, I got to take my own shoes, and they helped a lot because they're more comfortable. I felt like I could run better, my times were better. So I definitely recommend bringing a nice pair of shoes, but not a pair of Vans or Jordans or anything that isn't a running shoe, because they won't let you wear that and you'll be stuck with your worn out shoes. and they'll eventually take you to the PX to buy another piece of shit shoe. Now you can sneak in socks. Just make sure there's no obvious logos on them. Make sure they're black, black socks, because if they're flashy, colorful socks or have big Nike logos on them or Under Armour logos, they will be taken away and put back in your storage room. But if they're plain black socks that are just comfortable and you like them and they have a subtle logo that's not too noticeable, you can sneak those in and wear them. They usually won't mind and won't even notice. One piece of advice I wish somebody gave me going into basic was to bring my electronics, because after you graduate from basic training and go on to AIT, you can have your electronics in your barracks, and that's really helpful. I wish I brought my Nintendo Switch or my Xbox or even my laptop so I could do something in the barracks and not be bored all the time. But you can have your stuff in your barracks in AIT. One thing I think most people are glad is taken out because of COVID is the shark attack. The shark attack is pretty much that first day once you get off the bus. Drill sergeants are there waiting for you, yelling in your face, talking shit, saying things like you're not gonna make it, you don't belong here, they're gonna send you back, and trying to really tear you down so they can build you back up. But now, because of COVID, they can't do that, so it's a silent shark attack. They just stand there, and they're very quiet. They won't be saying anything. My unit, my company, when we went there, we did get shark attacked, but we were told that we were the last ones, so in the future, when you guys go, there will not be a shark attack. But the worst part about COVID and basic training is that you won't have family day. Your family can't come to graduation. Traditionally, graduation was this really cool thing that you worked 10 weeks towards. There would be a smoke grenade, you would run out of the woods and you would all get into formation at attention and have this whole ceremony with fireworks and everything. Now it sucks. It's just you get into formation, there's a Facebook Live video, and some companies don't even do the Facebook Live video. And you just walk in formation, you pass the camera, your family sees you for a couple seconds on Facebook Live, and then it's over. The worst part is you can't take pictures with your family because they're not there, and you don't get family day, which is something that everybody looks forward to. Family day is the day of graduation. After you graduate, you can leave the base and go with your family to anywhere off post, and you can eat junk food and hang out with your family. You can't do that anymore because no family members are allowed on post to stop the spread of COVID. So now they take you to the PX to buy some junk food or whatever you want. You go back to your company and you get your phone for a couple hours, and then they take it back, and that's your graduation. It really sucks, but that's just the way it is. So the things I'm going to leave you guys off with is some pieces of advice. I definitely recommend getting a nice pair of running shoes right now and just getting out there and running. That's the biggest issue that people had. Another piece of advice is learn the Soldier's Creed and the Army values. It's very important. You will have to recite it, and if you can't do it right, they're gonna make you learn it. So definitely do that before you go there. The Army song isn't as important. Most of the time when you're singing it, it's gonna be with a bunch of other soldiers, and you can bullshit your way out of it if you don't know certain parts. But the Soldier's Creed, you can't bullshit your way out of that one. They will make you say it. Also know the Army values. Those are super simple. But that's my piece of advice for anybody going to basic soon. Alright guys, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to ask any questions you have down in the comments, and I'll try to answer every single one. Good luck at basic, and I'll see you guys in the next one.